Hey guys, hello. Hi, what's up? Okay, so we have a really awesome presentation that I put together that I'm going to be talking to you about. We're going to be talking about building your own apps, going from idea to income, all this really awesome stuff. Hey guys, hello. Hi, what's up? Feedback. Okay, so can you hear me now? Is that better? I think we fixed it. Okay, so please introduce yourself into the chat. Tell me your name, city, and profession. So do exactly what, let's see who did this. Tia did this. Tia, Los Angeles, domestic engineer and student. Amazing. So do exactly like that. Jegmol, am I saying your name right? Tell me if I'm mispronouncing it. Executive chairman of an investment group. Awesome. And what city are you in? Amazing. Awesome. So Angel is in accounts payable and lives in Richmond, Virginia. Amazing. So introduce yourself just like that into the chat. Tell me your name, city, and profession. And I think you can hear me now, right? I accidentally pressed the mute button, so that was my fault. Okay, so introduce yourself in the chat. Kristen is in Vancouver and is a mural artist. Oh, cool. Very cool. Keep introducing yourself into the chat. Introduce yourself so that I can get to know you. This is going to be a really hands-on intensive workshop. I'm going to be talking to you about your business, about your ideas, helping you form ideas, all of that good stuff. And so it helps me if I know who you are and kind of what you're up to. So please introduce yourself into the chat. Diana is in Washington, D.C. and is a public health programmer. Amazing. Oh, okay, got it. Jamal, pronounced like Jamal. Got it. Okay, and in Sacramento. Awesome. Hey, Don. What's up? Cool. Dan lives in Fort McCurry and is a tattoo artist apprentice. Oh, awesome. Dolores is in Philadelphia, life and health insurance agent. Amazing. Keep introducing yourselves into the chat. If you have not introduced yourself, I would love to hear name, city, and profession. Arthur is in Detroit and works in law enforcement. Very cool. Okay, keep introducing yourselves into the chat. Keep introducing yourself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen so that you can see it. John is in Pittsburgh, is an investor and graphic artist. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, keep introducing yourself. And I'm going to share my screen. Let me know when you can see my screen full screen. Sometimes it takes a second to load in. All right. If you were just joining, I would love if you could introduce yourself in the chat. Tell me your name, city, and profession. Awesome. Cool. Erica is a blogger and mommy. I love it. Donald is in New York and is an educator. Cool. All right. Let me know when you can see my screen. Dante is in Houston, works in sports entertainment. Awesome. You guys do all sorts of different things. Right. You can see my screen. Tina says I can see your screen. Okay, good. Perfect. So we are obviously here talking about this crazy concept of how to go from idea to income in 60 days, right? So how to come up with an app idea, build it without any tech people, and charge people to use it. How to do all of those things cohesively together, right? Okay, so I want to welcome everyone here. Thank you so much for coming. I'm super excited and super pumped to be sharing some knowledge with you guys. I've packed this workshop and masterclass full of really awesome tips and tricks and things you can actually apply with your own business immediately. So a lot of you guys are here for different reasons, right? So some of you are here because you're working a 9-to-5 job now, but you're hoping to take control over your own earning potential, right? Like not be reliant on someone else or someone else deciding what your salary is going to be, etc., right? And maybe you're here because you don't want to be affected by layoffs. I'm going to share my story a little bit later about getting laid off. About layoffs, government shutdowns of the economy. If you were in the US, which I know a lot of you guys are, we know a lot about government shutdowns right now. You just don't want to be tugged every which way about all the things that are happening in the economy and with the government and all those sorts of things. or just how much a company just randomly decides to pay you. Or maybe you're here on this workshop because you've been stalling on your app idea for weeks or months or maybe even years. It's just taking a long time for you to get up and running with this thing. Or maybe you decided to come to this masterclass because you have an app idea. You don't have an app idea yet. You've been trying to figure out what you can do to create more money or additional income. You don't have an idea yet, but you want help coming up with a good one, right? Want help coming up with a good one. We're going to talk about that. Or maybe you're here because you have an app idea. You already have an idea, but you're not sure how exactly it's going to make real income for you. Right? I know a lot of people are saying, Ryan saying that's me. Ryan saying, I hope I'm on. Yeah. So maybe this is you. Or maybe you're already an entrepreneur. Like this is not your first time at the entrepreneurship rodeo. You've been an entrepreneur before, but you're not quite as successful as you want to be. And maybe this is for a lot of you guys, because a lot of people tell me this, and some of you guys wrote to me before the workshop and told me this, that you wanted to come to this masterclass because you want to work less, travel more, and do it on your own doggone terms without somebody else telling you when you can take a trip or when you can take time off or all those things. Some of you guys want to build a company as a side hustle. Some of you want to build it as a full-time role. Either way, we're going to be talking about both of those things, right? So if any of those things apply to you, any of those reasons why you are here, I want to let you know you've come to the right place. We're going to be hanging out this evening and talking about all of those things and coming up with a plan for you to tackle them. So I like to be super, super transparent about what my goals are for this masterclass. So here's my goal for you and I on this masterclass. Number one, my goal is to work with you to build a plan for creating a side hustle and creating some additional income to cushion you in 2019. Right? Like we're going to talk exactly about how to create this side hustle for yourself and some additional income cushion for you in 2019. My second goal in this masterclass is to help you take existing knowledge that you already have. You don't have to learn anything new, your existing knowledge and expertise, and turn it into an app idea that you can charge people to use. We're going to be talking about how to take the stuff you already know and turn it into an app business. And then finally, my goal for this masterclass is to show you a method that you can use to avoid spending $20,000 to hire someone to build your app. That's how much it costs to hire someone to build an app for you, $20,000. So you can avoid doing any of that, or to avoid spending a whole year learning about computer programming and struggling and trying to figure out how to create the app yourself. We're just going to skip all of that. So those are my goals for this masterclass with you and I, right? Now, before we jump into all the details of this workshop, I want to introduce myself because some of us we've met before. Some of you guys have watched my TED Talks before. You've been following some of the work that I do. But for some of you guys, this is our first time meeting. So I want to introduce myself really quickly because you might be thinking, wait a minute, who is this lady? So my name is Tara Reed, and I am a tech entrepreneur. Before becoming an entrepreneur, I used to lead marketing initiatives at Google, Foursquare, and Microsoft. So my background is in tech, working at tech companies, but I was not the one who was building the software or doing the technology itself. John, you need me to move a little bit faster? I'm sorry about that. Give me a moment. I just want to introduce myself and kind of set folks up for this, give them a sense of what we're going to be talking about, and then we're going to jump into the meat of this. So I used to lead marketing initiatives at Google, Foursquare, and Microsoft. And in 2014, I founded a really successful art startup. And I built the company's app and algorithm without writing any code. And so since doing all of this process that I've come up with, right? This process of coming up with app ideas, building them without any tech people, charging people to use the app, that whole process, as soon as I started becoming an entrepreneur, got me my first $150,000 in revenue and my first $300,000 investment from investors who said, here's some money. We love what you're doing. We want to see you take it to the next level. Right? So I've been super blessed to be featured in some awesome publications. Entrepreneur Magazine featured me in their Young Millionaires edition last year. Forbes has done some really awesome articles on how to succeed in Silicon Valley when you don't look like Mark Zuckerberg. And I also have done a really fun TED Talk on building apps without code that has over 200,000 views. But I want to be super transparent and sharing with you that I did not start out this way. Like, I didn't just bust out of the gates. First day as an entrepreneur, everything was amazing and peachy. I had this transition that I made from working a 9-to-5 job to becoming an entrepreneur and becoming a successful entrepreneur. So when I started, Tiffany says, congratulations. Thank you, Tiffany. So I just want to share a little bit about how I got here too, because I think it'll be helpful context for you, because a lot of you guys are in the same place I was when I was getting started. So when I was getting started, I was a young professional and I was working a comfortable 9-to-5 job. My job was okay. It wasn't amazing. I didn't love it. And I actually, at the time, I didn't understand how important, like how much energy and stress and how much of a weight it was on me to have a job that I didn't love. It was just okay. It was all right. My boss was kind of a jerk sometimes. It was just okay, right? I didn't understand the impact of that. But I was working this 9-to-5 job, and I really wanted, while I was working that job, I wanted to build my own app business. So I wouldn't have to spend my whole life working for someone else's dream, right? Like I was working on Bill Gates' dream, but not my own, right? And so I wanted to do a bunch of things. I wanted to pay off my student loans. I know a lot of you guys are thinking about those things. I wanted to work less. I wanted to travel more, and I wanted to not have to worry about money. Like, those are the things I was thinking about and trying to figure out for myself. And I also really wanted to have a shot at retiring early. I was like, how am I going to make this work? I don't want to be working all the time. But I had a bunch of issues. I kept hitting a bunch of roadblocks. And for some of you guys, you may be hitting these same roadblocks. So I'll share kind of personally what the roadblocks were that I was hitting. So first of all, I did not have $20,000 just sitting around to hire someone to build my app idea. You can let me know in the chat if you can relate to this. I didn't have that kind of money just sitting around to hire someone. Michael says, is this live? Yes, absolutely. I'm talking right to you. So the other roadblock that I kept hitting was I didn't have 1 year, 2 years, etc. to learn how to code. Like, I just didn't have that amount of time to sit around and learn something new before I even fully knew what was going to happen next in my business. And then finally, I started trying to find like a business partner to help me, like somebody who was tech savvy to help me. And I just couldn't find the right fit with someone who I trusted enough to actually go into business with. This was all like a bunch of challenges for me, right? Ryan says, all of the above, you had all these experiences. Someone says, yeah, that's where things fall apart for me. Dolores says, I hit the same roadblocks. Yeah, absolutely. Like, these are the challenges I was hitting. And so I knew that if I took too long, if I kept taking so long, someone else was going to take my idea and launch it first. And I started feeling frustrated because I was like, I feel like a failure because it's taking me so long to get going. I was getting so frustrated with this, right? So in the middle of all of this, I have this idea for an app business. I'm hitting these roadblocks, but I'm trying to get going, right? And in the middle of all of that, Microsoft laid off 80,000 people, and I was one of them. So in the middle of all of this stuff, I lost my job, and I had no way to pay my bills. I actually had to move to Detroit. I was living in Seattle at the time. I had to move to Detroit with my best friend to kind of get back on my feet. I was totally embarrassed. It actually took me several months to actually tell my friends that I had lost my job. I kind of just like skirted around it because I was so embarrassed about it, right? And so after all of this, after hitting all these roadblocks, I lost my job in the middle of it. I kind of got an extra push. And I ended up teaching myself how to build apps without code, kind of out of necessity, right? There was no other option for me. And I taught myself this process of building apps without code. And the first app that I built got me my first $35,000 in sales and my first $100,000 investment from 500 Startups, which is a top tech accelerator in Silicon Valley. So I started blogging about my journey building apps without code. I did a really fun TED Talk on building apps without code that has over 200,000 views. And I also started coaching other entrepreneurs. I worked with an entrepreneur named Josh who had an idea for an app for schools to teach music classes inside of their school using an app. And he now has 23 schools who have written him a check to say, this is great. We want to use your app in our schools. Here's a check. And I also worked with another entrepreneur named Patrick who built an app to help manufacturing plants become more efficient. And his first customer was Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola wrote him a check and said, here you go. I really want to see you build this and take this to the next level. right? We want to use it. So overall, I've helped entrepreneurs generate over $1 million in app launch revenue. $1 million in app launch revenue. So how does this all apply to you? Like, what the heck does this have to do with you? Well, you also have an idea of becoming an entrepreneur. I'm pretty sure that's why you're here. You've been thinking about it. Maybe you already are an entrepreneur, but you're thinking about this a lot, how to take this to the next level. You also cannot rely on a 9-to-5 job for all of your stability, right? Jobs can change at any point, and you're going to get yanked around by that if you don't have control over your own income. You also are already 100% qualified to build your own app idea. We're going to be talking about that in a second. But a lot of folks say like, hey, Tara, I've never built an app before, so I don't know if I'm qualified to do this. You are completely qualified. I'm going to show you how that works. And also, you also can take your existing passions, your existing interests, and just flip them and turn them into an app business. Cool. So that's kind of how all that stuff, that story that I had, my story, really applies to you too. And so what we're going to be talking about this evening is what exactly happened in between. Like how I went from getting laid off from my job to building $1 million tech empire. Like what exactly happened in between, and what are the nuggets that you can learn and implement for your own idea so you can have a similar path with your own spin to it. Cool? You ready? Let me know in the chat if you were ready for me to break this down then. We're going to start going into detail. I'm going to break down how to build an app, how to build it without any tech people, how to make money from it, all those things. Let me know in the chat if you are ready. If you are ready for me to break this down. We're going to talk about tools. We're going to talk about all sorts of stuff like that. Tia says ready with lots of Y's. Ryan says ready. Dolores says ready. Daniel says ready. Awesome. Let me know in the chat if you are ready to go. Ready. Tina says ready in all caps. I love it. Cool. Awesome. 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 Asia says let's go. I love it. Okay, so let's do it. Idea to income in 60 days. How to come up with an app idea, build it without any tech people, and charge people to use it. Cool. All right. So here's an overview of what you're going to learn. Stanley says, I've been ready. I love it. I love it. So here's an overview of what you're going to learn. Secret number 1, how to come up with a strong app idea in 15 minutes. Strong app idea in 15 minutes. Secret number 2, how to build an app yourself without any tech people. And secret number 3, how to charge $50 a month or more for your app idea. We're going to be talking about all 3 of those things. Cool? This is an overview of what we're going to talk about. Arisa says, you're doing great. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I have fun teaching. Okay, so let's jump right into this. Let's just jump right into the meat of this. Secret number 1, how to come up with a strong app idea in 15 minutes. So in order to kind of explain this to you, I want to differentiate something for you, because there is a difference. There's a difference between an app idea and an app business idea. Most people think they're the same thing. They're not. An app idea, you can come up with any day. On a second, you come up with an app idea. An app business idea, coming up with an app business idea requires a strategy, because it's a whole business surrounding the app. It's not just an app. It's a whole business. So I want to introduce you to the SMART idea formula. The SMART idea formula. And the SMART idea formula is a series of questions to help you brainstorm a strong app idea that you are already 100% qualified to build. Already 100% qualified. So in order to give you a sense of how the SMART idea formula works, I'm going to give you a couple examples, and then I'm going to turn it around to you and have you do the SMART idea formula for your own business. So let me first give you the examples, and then we'll get to that. So let me give you an example of how this works. I want to introduce you to an entrepreneur. I mentioned him earlier, an amazing entrepreneur I've coached. His name is Joshua Head. Now, Josh had a SMART idea formula. When I sat down to work with him, we started talking about how he could build a different app and what kind of ideas he could go after. And I asked him a series of questions. So the first question I asked him was, well, what do you do for work? What do you do for work? It was an easy question. And he was like, well, I'm a music teacher. I said, okay, great. You're a music teacher. Got it. Then I had a second question for him. He said, okay, Josh, so name something you spend a lot of time or effort on at work. Just tell me one thing you spend a lot of time and effort on at work. And he said, well, I often go teach music at middle schools. And I have to travel to each individual middle school to teach the classes one by one by one. It's a lot of going back and forth. That's something I spend a lot of time and effort on. And I said, okay, great. So I have one last question for you, Josh. This is my third question. I said, let's say you built an app that alleviates some of the stress. The fact that you could only be in one place at once, right? You can't go to all these schools at one time. You know, if you could alleviate some of that stress, what would happen in your app once someone logged in, right? Just brainstorm. And he didn't really know how exactly the app would work, but he just started brainstorming with me. And so he said, okay, well, I could build an app where students could log in. And so instead of me coming to the classroom, students could log in and they could complete lessons, like assignments that they needed to do, like compose songs, work in teams to compose songs maybe, or the teachers could give the students grades for the songs and the music that they put together and compose. And maybe I could take that app and I could sell it to schools so that they could have access to it. Instead of me coming, I can only be so many places at once. They can have an app that teaches the music class to the students and teachers can give grades, right? And this is a real story. Josh is a real entrepreneur that I've worked with. He runs a company now called EMA Music. It is an app for schools to teach music classes. Now, he now has, since working with me, 23 schools in the state of Virginia that have written him a check and paid him money to use his app in their classrooms. He's done $30,000 in revenue, and he's gotten a $50,000 investment from someone who said, I love what you're doing. I really want to see you take it to the next level. Here's a check. And he did all of this in 6 months. 6 months. So Josh says this app is definitely a revenue generating endeavor. I did not know it would grow as quickly as it did. We got television and radio interviews in the process. It's been a blessing. So that's one example. Let me give you one more example just so you can see how this works. Daniel says, oh, wow. Yeah. So I just want to show you another example of how this works. I want to introduce you to Carlos Rivera. And Carlos is another entrepreneur I have had the pleasure of coaching. Now, Carlos also went through the SMART idea formula to figure out what the heck he was going to do with his business, right? So I asked him a series of questions, 3 questions. The first question I asked Carlos was, what is one thing you do in your free time? What's one thing you do in your free time? And Carlos thought about it and he was like, I like to play basketball, right? He told me he liked to play basketball. And I said, okay, great. And let me ask you another question. What is one thing that is hard or time consuming about that hobby? Just pick one thing that's hard or time consuming. And he said, well, one thing that's hard is figuring out which courts are available when I want to play. Sometimes they're busy. Sometimes there's other people there. I'm not really sure where I can go to play basketball, and it takes a long time to kind of figure out where I need to be, right? Then I had one final question for him. I said, okay, Carlos, let's say you built an app that alleviates some of that stress, What would happen once someone logged in? What could happen when someone logged in? And Carlos said, okay, so gyms could let their members log in. That's one thing they could do. And another thing they could do is see which courts are free, right? They could kind of see which ones are available and they could book the court in advance. And maybe they could sell this to different gyms and the gym could put their branding on the app. And again, this is a true story. Carlos is definitely an entrepreneur that I've worked with. He built an app for gyms to let people book basketball courts, right? Let gyms book basketball courts. His first client, the first person who said, yes, I'm in, was the YMCA. He did a pilot with one YMCA. They paid him $300 a month. And he did all of this in 4 weeks. So now it's your turn. A couple people are asking me in the chat, I want to get to the point. Now it's your turn. It is your turn, John and Brian. So it is now time to try the SMART idea formula for your business. So what I'm going to do is everybody get ready to type in the chat. We're going to make this interactive. I'm here and I'm committed this evening to help you with your idea. So get ready to type in the chat. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. And this is going to help you get to a strong app idea. And of course, to be clear, we're going to get into the tactics of how to build it, but you need to make sure you have an app idea that's actually going to make money. Otherwise, if you don't, you're going to spend a lot of time kicking the tires and trying a bunch of stuff and end up being broke. And I see it happen to so many people. So I'm committed to making sure you have a foundation for your app idea. We're going to talk about all the details of how to build it and all of that stuff. But these are the basics that you need to make sure you know. So I have a couple questions for you. And get ready to type in the chat. I have a couple questions. My first question is, what is one thing you do in your free time? Let me know in the chat, what is one thing you do in your free time? Let me know. Type in the chat. Tell me one thing you like to do. It's like a hobby or thing you like to do for fun. Right? Let me know in the chat one thing you like to do in your free time. I'll give you a second to type. Tia says cooking. Tia says I like to talk. Awesome. I love it. Kristen says painting. Awesome. What do you guys like to do in your free time? Like hobbies. So, make or eat plant-based food, optimize websites. I love it. Draw, educate people. Amazing. Look for ways to make money with my phone. I love it. Social media, blog, write, and be with my family. Shopping, exactly. Okay, great. Awesome. I got that. So now I have a second question for you. And my second question is, what is one thing that is hard or time-consuming about that hobby? What is one thing that's hard or time-consuming about that hobby? Jacori says DJ. Got it. And one thing that's hard or time-consuming about that hobby. Let me know in the chat one thing that is hard or time-consuming. Got it. Cooking and writing, looking at famous couples, compatibility, astrology, awesome, eating. I love it. Okay, one thing that's hard, finding clients, Kristen said. Got it. What else is hard? Finding new recipes or finding restaurants that offer plant-based food. Got it. Making music. That's hard. What else is hard? Finding everything I'm looking for. Getting enough people at one time. Yeah. What else is hard or time-consuming about that hobby? Pattern making, actual sewing. Got it. Having limited resources, time management, getting distracted and finding safe spaces to engage. Marketing. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so third question. Let's say that you built an app to alleviate some of that stress, to alleviate some of the things that are hard about that. What could maybe happen once someone logged in? Like, what could the app do to alleviate some of that stress? Think about it and then type in some ideas of things you have. Dolores says, searching the internet for ways to make money with my phone. Got it. Selling and marketing the music. Those are things that are difficult. Got it. So how could you, if you alleviated some of that stress, what could you do once someone logged in? What would happen when someone logged in? Lindsay said that they could do comparison shopping. Yeah, absolutely. That would alleviate some stress, make it a little bit easier. Any other ideas? Selling and marketing the music. Got it. What else could they do once they logged in, right? They could do things to boost their mood. Other ideas for things you could alleviate for that stress. Things you could do. Things you could do. Tina, you said you don't know. Well, one of your hobbies is cooking. And one of the things that is difficult about cooking is maybe knowing exactly what recipes to build or knowing exactly what recipes were good based on what kind of food you like. For example, I really love spicy food, but I don't know exactly which recipes are aligned to that. There's all sorts of things, right? Got it. Okay, cool. Got it. So hopefully this kind of spins up some ideas for you about what it looks like to kind of create something around a hobby you have. Now, I have a couple more questions for you. We're going to try this at a different angle this time. So Kristen says, create a database of potential clients. Laura says they could find verified websites that could generate income. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Cool. Got it. Okay, cool. So next, I would love for you to answer this question. And my next question for you is, what do you do for work? What do you do for work? Let me know in the chat. What do you do for work? What do you do for work? Let me know what you do for work. Some people kind of told me earlier, but tell me again, what do you do for a profession for work? I consult nonprofits. I do social media and advertising. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a tailor. Cool. What else do you do for work? What else do you do for work? I sell life and health insurance. Got it. I work with kids. Great. Great. I'm a stylist. I'm a freelance journalist. Got it. Manager and housing counselor. Dialysis tech. Health programmer. Awesome. Awesome. Cool. I create Google ad campaigns. Great. Tech trainer. Okay. So now I have a second question for you. My second question is, Name something you or your boss spends a lot of time or effort on at work. What's something you or your boss spends a lot of time or effort on at work? People in the chat, you spend a lot of time or effort on. Mentor, a full-time painter, murals, got it. Travel, business, law enforcement, guide, yeah, got it. Okay, so name something you spend a lot of time at work on. Reports, got it, Russell. What else do you guys spend a lot of time on at work? Research, got it. Yeah, what else do you spend a lot of time on, or you or your boss spends a lot of time on? Jamal says, what if my hobbies or occupation has nothing to do with my app business idea? It doesn't have to do anything to do with your app business idea, but I want to show you some opportunities around businesses and app business ideas that you already know about, a lot about, you already have contacts with, you could all easily spin up and get launched immediately, all right? Real estate agent, yeah, got it. Figuring out my schedule takes a lot of time. Optimizing campaigns and updating websites, got it. So let's say you built an app that alleviates some of that stress. What might happen once someone logged in, right? Maybe they could see their campaigns and see analytics and details for that campaign. Maybe they could get recommendations on how to answer emails because they have to answer a ton of emails. Maybe they could actually see the designs, get stencils. Yeah, exactly, Kristen, that's right. They could get recommendations for techniques and procedures, all sorts of stuff like that, right? So you might be thinking, well, I don't know if I'm qualified to build the app idea that I have, or I don't know how to come up with an app idea in the first place, right? But I want to teach you kind of to use this process, this strong idea formula, smart idea formula, because you can take a look at some of the things you already know about, take a look at some of the things that are challenges with those things, either a hobby or a job, and you can use that to come up with a strong app idea in about 15 minutes. So that is secret number one, how to come up with a strong app idea in 15 minutes. And hopefully this has some wheels turning for you in terms of ideas that you can use, ideas you have for your own business if you did not already have an app idea. Some of you guys already have an app idea. So that's secret number one. Let's move on now to secret number two. Let's move on to secret number two. Secret number two is how to build an app yourself without any tech people. How to build an app yourself without any tech people. So most people think, and you can let me know in the chat if you thought this as well. Most people think as soon as they come up with an idea, the first thing they need to do is hire an expensive agency to help them build the first version of their app. Anyone in the chat thought that this was the first thing they needed to do, hire an agency to help them build the first version? Now, there's nothing wrong with hiring an agency to build the first version of your app. The only challenge is that on average, it's going to cost you $20,000 and up to get that app built. $20,000, right? And I don't know about you. When I was starting, I just didn't have that kind of money. It just wasn't an option for me, right? Now, other people think like, well, no, I didn't think that I needed to hire an expensive agency. But what I did think was that I needed to find a tech-savvy business partner to help me before I started, right? Yeah, some people said or find a programmer or a developer, right? So some people think they need to find a tech-savvy business partner before they can even get started. Now, the challenge with this is that it can easily go wrong. Finding the right business partner is like finding the right partner for you to marry, right? Like your how you get along with them, how you guys work together can drastically impact the long-term vision for your company, right? Yeah, John said the best quote I got was 12 grand. Yeah, everybody was saying that people are saying big prices, right? It costs a lot to have somebody big build your app for you. Now, other people are like, okay, well, I have an idea for an app, so I know what I need to do. I need to teach myself the basics of how to code. Anyone learning how to code? Let me know in the chat if you've been teaching yourselves the basics of how to code. Let me know in the chat. And the challenge with this, the challenge of taking this route is that it takes about 12 months, about a whole year, for you to get proficient enough to build the level of complexity of app that you need. It takes about a whole year to get good enough at it. Yeah. And I don't know about you. Yeah. Arissa said it's so time consuming. Most of us just don't have that kind of time. And so what ends up happening is because most people hit these roadblocks, they completely end up putting their app idea on the back burner. They're like, it's not possible. I'm not a tech person. And they end up letting someone else take launch with the idea. They give up on it, right? give up on it. Dolores says, I gave up on learning code. Yeah, it's tough, right? And so actually, you don't have to do any of those things that I just mentioned. You don't have to do any of them. Actually, you can create apps by using code-free software. Code-free software. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So, code-free tools let you design apps by dragging and dropping, pointing and clicking, just like you would design a PowerPoint presentation. And then you logically tell the app what to do in English. Not in some other language that you don't know, but in English, which you already understand. So you design the app by drag, drop, point, click, just like you would design a PowerPoint presentation. You put everything onto the page, and then you logically tell the app what to do in English. Now, the logic statement is the thing that tells the app what to do. The logic statement is the thing that tells the app what to do. Let me give you an example of a logic statement that you already understand. Right? You already understand this. If I push the first domino, then the other dominoes will fall. Right? There's nothing confusing about this sentence. Everyone understands completely this sentence. If I push the first domino, then the other dominoes will fall. Nothing confusing about this. We all understand this sentence. Let me give you another example. If the user clicks the button, then log them in. Right? Really simple. If this, then that. Everybody understands this sentence. So my tip for you is to find logic-based software to build your app. Logic-based software. There are a ton of logic-based software tools you can use to create your app. You don't have to use all of them. You just have to choose the best one or two that are right for your app. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to walk you through some examples of logic-based software you can use to create your app. I'm going to walk you through some examples. We're going to start with some beginner ones, and we'll get fancier as we go along. Cool. So the first option that I want to show you is Wix. Wix. Now, most people think about Wix for creating websites. However, you can also use Wix for creating apps where people log in with their email and their password and they enter the inside. So you can create like a Yelp-like rating and review system where people can write in their different reviews for a restaurant and rate them on a 1 through 5 scale. You can create a flight booking system like what you see on the screen, or you can choose the dates for your flight. You want a window seat or an aisle seat, a vegetarian meal, and it books your flight for you. So Wix allows you to create your own member login apps where people log in with an email and a password and see on the inside a whole bunch of really awesome interactive things. Okay? I'm getting ready to show you as we go along more and more complex things. You can build algorithms, games, all sorts of things without writing any code. So I'm going to walk you through some really sophisticated options. Now, the second option I want to show you, a second kind of cool tool you can use, is called AppSheet. Now, what AppSheet does is it takes a spreadsheet of information and instantly turns it into an app. So you can visualize images. You can show different locations on a map and plot the routes in between locations. You can show graphs and charts of data. You can have people type things in, sign for things, enter data, have a whole database of information about your customers, etc. So AppSheet allows you to take a spreadsheet of information and instantly turn it into an app. And this app can be on Android, it can be on iPhone, or it can be on the web. Mighty Networks is another really cool tool. Now, Mighty Networks allows you to create your own social network app. Your own social network app. So everyone gets their own profile. People can like each other and follow each other. There's a feed of information and everybody's posting. They can like each other's posts. And again, this app can be on Android, or it can be on iPhone, or it can be on the web. So Mighty Networks is a cool tool for creating your own social networks app. Or says, I didn't know Wix did that. Yeah, absolutely. ShareTribe is another really awesome tool. Now, ShareTribe allows you to create your own marketplace app. Now, what do I mean by marketplace app? What I mean by marketplace is a place where people can buy and sell things from each other. So think like Airbnb. Airbnb is a marketplace app, right? So you can see on the left kind of an example of how this works. People can post a bunch of different things that they want to buy and sell. People can book them from each other and reserve them from each other, do reservations, do bookings, do selling, all sorts of stuff like that on ShareTribe. So ShareTribe allows you to create your own marketplace app. Thinkific allows you to create your own education app where you're going to be teaching people something. So you can put videos, tutorials, audio, all sorts of quizzes, interactive things like that. And Thinkific allows you to create your own education app that people can log into. Ursa says, you're blowing my mind. Watch out for the next social media app, y'all. I love it. I love it. Motion AI allows you to create artificial intelligence chatbots without writing any code. Stencil allows you to create video games without writing any code. And again, these video games could be on iPhone, iPad, Android, Windows, or on the web. Here, and all these tools are no coding required, by the way. Here's an example of a video game that was created by someone just like me and you who had absolutely no idea how to write code, but wanted to create an awesome video game using Stencil. And so I want to welcome you to the future. I want to welcome you to the future because myself and a lot of other software leaders, people in this industry, we believe that by 2025, most software won't be made by coders, but instead by people from diverse backgrounds using logic. Because to build apps today in 2019, you no longer need to be a software developer or use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Perl, PHP, Python, any of those coding languages at all. In fact, you don't even need to write a single line of code. So again, I would like to welcome you to the future where all of these app ideas that you have, there are tools out there right now that allow you to do that and allow you to build. And I showed you some of the really awesome ones that you can use. Daniel had a question. Daniel says, is this software free? It depends. Some of the tools are different prices. They all have their different models. All of them allow you to start for free and to start building your app for free. However, after you start getting more users, their pricing ranges from $20 to $60 a month, depending on the platform. But they're all pretty cheap and affordable. Think about building your app on a platform for, even at the high end, $60 a month, $50 a month is still pretty cheap to have an entire engine running your own app. Cool. Okay. Awesome. Donald says, do you have some examples of people who've created popular apps using any of these platforms? Many of these platforms are super new. So I'm going to give you some examples of entrepreneurs that I have worked with, entrepreneurs that are generating hundreds of thousands of dollars with their platforms. And so we're going to be talking about that in a moment. Lindsay says, I used Wix to create my online portfolio. Never knew I could use that same company to create an app. Yeah, awesome. Donald says, by the way, this is great information. Thank you. So inspiring. Yay, I'm so glad. Okay, good. Well, people, Arissa's had a question. Will people notice this was built from a platform, not a developer? No, they'll have absolutely no clue. They won't have a clue. They don't have any idea. Is there a way to patent your app through any of these platforms? Yeah, you can patent your app. You don't have to do it through the platform. You can still patent your app. You sit down and work with a lawyer. We can talk about that more a little bit later. But you sit down and work with a lawyer to do that patent, but you can still do it with these platforms. Cool. Okay, can I keep going? Is it cool if I keep going? Some of you guys might be thinking like, hey, Tara, I'm a little concerned because I don't have the time to build an app myself. Like, I just don't have time to build it myself. And so I want to show you something. I want to introduce you to Charisse. Charisse is an entrepreneur I've had the pleasure of coaching. Dolores says, could you build apps as complex as Uber or Lyft? You can build apps 3 times as complex as Uber or Lyft. Uber and Lyft are actually pretty simple apps to build using these tools. Yeah. So I want to introduce you to Charisse. Charisse's occupation, she's an author. And not gonna lie, authors are not known for being amazing app builders, right? They're just not. But Charisse had an idea for an online social platform for sci-fi and comic fans. A social platform for sci-fi and comic fans. Now, I worked with Charisse. Charisse built her own social network for sci-fi and comic fans, and she was a finalist on this TV show called Planet of the Apps. That's Gary Vaynerchuk, Jessica Alba, Gwyneth Paltrow, Will.i.am, etc. And it works kind of like Shark Tank. So Charisse says, I got a professional developer and spent 9 months and almost $9,000 to get practically nothing. After using Tara's Apps Without Code system, within 2 hours, I had built the first model of my app myself. So big difference from 9 months of struggling, dishing out money, trying to hire people to do this for her, to 2 hours building the first model of her app herself. So reality check. It does not take a lot of time to do this if you use a proven system. If you're just out there flailing around trying to figure it out on your own, maybe it'll take some time. But if you use a proven system, you're right in there, right? So that is secret number 2, how to build an app yourself without any tech people. Can I move on to secret number 3? I have one more secret to share with you. Can I keep going? Daniel says, whoa, yeah. Okay, let me share one more secret with you. Secret number 3, how to charge $50 a month or more for your app idea. $50 a month or more for your app idea. Now, most people assume that their app idea needs to be free or 99 cents or something like that, right? Please don't do that. If you do that, you will be broke, at least for a good several years. Don't do that. You need a lot of 99 cents to pay your bills. You just do. Why would you do that to yourself? Don't do it. So, reality check here again. Your app should not be free or 99 cents. It should not be. It should not be free or 99 cents. So, let me show you a couple ways to reimagine your price, the way that you can charge this. We're going to kind of think about your idea and see if we can kind of come up with some ways to reimagine the price. Now, the first thing I want you to think about is, who are the fast lane customers? The fast lane customers with disposable income that you can target. Fast lane customers with disposable income. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So, when you think about your business, your app idea, there are 3 types of customers that you can have. One type of customer is in the slow lane. This is a customer where if you sit down with them, you talk to them, you explain to them really what you're doing and how important it is, eventually they'll come along. They'll get it eventually, right? But they're in the slow lane. It takes them a little bit of time to understand exactly what you're doing and why it's important, why they need it, right? The second type of customer is on the sidewalk. This is my grandmother. Like, no matter what you tell her, she's not going to download your app. She's just not going to do it. Don't even try, right? And you guys all know people like this. No matter what you're going to do, they're just not going to use the app. They're just not, right? They're on the sidewalk. You want to leave them alone, right? And then finally, you have customers who are in the fast lane. These are customers who yesterday, they were Googling, trying to find a solution to their problem. And they're talking all the time about how frustrated they are that somebody has not launched a company yet to do this. They are actively looking for you. Those are people who are in the fast lane, right? You want to go after fast lane customers with some disposable income. That's where you want to start. You can expand to the others if you want to later, but you want to start with the fast lane customers with disposable income. So let's say, hypothetically, that you have an app idea for an app that tracks your groceries, let's say, right? Now, you could go and target the everyday person. You could do that. But the challenge is that the everyday person is kind of strapped for cash. So they're probably only going to be able to pay like $1.99 for the app, right? But an alternative route you can take is to go after, remember, fast lane customers with disposable income. So let's say one of the things you could do is target recent graduates of business school or law school, right? Who are fast lane customers and have some disposable income because they use Uber Eats all the time and they pay $5 for every delivery and they're fine paying $5 for every delivery. And on top of that, they use Instacart to have all their groceries delivered to them. And they spend $150 a year to have all their groceries delivered to them for the convenience. They do this all the time, right? That is different than going after the average person who's only going to give you $1.99, right? Now you can charge a more premium price point because you're going after fast lane customers with disposable income. What ideas does this spark? For you, who are the fast lane customers with disposable income who'd be interested in your business or using your app? Let me know in the chat if this is sparking any ideas for you and giving you ideas of what's possible for your app and who the target customers can be to start with. Now, here's the second thing I want you to, so that was the first thing, right? Who are the fast lane customers with disposable income you can target? Now, the second thing I want you to think about, Tia says millennials. Yeah, and you can get even more specific about millennials because not all millennials are going to be fast lane with disposable income. Brian says this has shifted my paradigm 180 degrees. Oh, good. Arissa says, vegan housewives should eat out often. Yeah. New businesses, Dolores says. Home sewers, John says. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, now here's another way you can think about how to charge $50 a month or more. Another thing you can do is you can white label the app for businesses who will pay you. For businesses who will pay you. So let me tell you what I mean by that. White label, this is what white label means. White label means you design the app, you take your logo off of the app, and you put another company, like the company that's going to be your client, you put their logo on the app. And you charge that company a lot of money to take credit for the app. They get to have it all their branding, their colors, and their own logo on it. It's called white labeling. You take your logo off or your label off and put theirs on, right? Now, remember I told you earlier about Josh, who's an entrepreneur coach. She built an app to teach music classes. Now, at first, Josh assumed that with his music app, he should charge the parents for the app. He can have kids use it and he should charge the parents. But the problem was that if he charges everyday parents, they're only going to spend about $5 a month for his app, right? But then he asked himself, wait a minute, what companies or organizations would want their own version of this app? What companies or organizations would want it? And he realized schools would. So he decided to charge the schools instead. And instead of that $5 a month that he was going to try to get before, he now does $5,000 contracts. And Tia had a great question in the chat. Can you white label your product with multiple businesses? Yes. Josh, for example, in 6 months got 23 schools white labeling his product. You can do it for an unlimited number, right? White labeling just means they get their own branding, but you can do it for many different people. So you're not selling it to them. You're just letting them white label it, right? So what ideas does this spark for you? Does this give you some ideas of what kinds of companies would be interested in ways you can get big contracts and big money in the door for your app idea? Let me know if this is sparking any ideas for you. Go ahead. I'm glad. Russell says, yes, loving it. I love it. John says, so you mean like licensing? Yes, this is exactly like licensing, the licensing deal. Exactly. White labeling is licensing. Great. Okay, good. I'm glad this is giving you guys some ideas. Kristen's got like a burst of ideas happening over there. Good. Glad. So that is secret number 3, how to charge $50 a month or more for your app idea. So you're not trying to scrape up 99 cents at a time. You need a lot of 99 cents to pay your bills. You don't need as many $5,000 contracts to pay your bills or $50 a month payments to pay your bills, right? In fact, if you do the math, you only need, if you have a $50 a month subscription, you only need 170 customers. 170 customers to make $100,000 this year. 170 customers. It's not that many. You can get 170 customers. So let me ask you guys something. Is this helpful? Are you guys learning stuff here? I want to check in and make sure this is helpful and you are learning stuff. I just want to check in before I kind of share a couple more things. Let me know. Cool. Nadia says this is everything. Oh, I love it. Good. I'm glad. Jacori's got heart eyes. Ryan says bravo. Okay, good. I'm so glad this is helpful. Good. Kristen says learning tons. Good. Okay, so here's a recap of what you have learned thus far. Here's what you've learned thus far. Secret number 1, how to come up with a strong app idea in 15 minutes. Donald says mind blown. I'm about to be rich. Thanks for showing us. Yeah, of course. Secret number 1, how to come up with a strong app idea in 15 minutes. Take a look at what are your hobbies? What do you do for work? What are the challenges around that? And you're already qualified to solve those. You know all about those. You know all about those things, right? Secret number 2, how to build an app yourself without any tech people. There are all of these tools out there that you can use to build your app without any tech people. You don't have to keep hitting your head against the wall with all those roadblocks. And secret number 3, how to charge $50 a month or more for your app idea. Can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure you can hear me. Some people said I froze. Did I freeze? No. Uh-oh. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I'm going to refresh. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try reconnecting. I'm going in and out. Okay, 1 second. Okay, is this better? Let me know in the chat if this is better. I just tried to reconnect. It's working for you? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me again. I just press refresh on my end. Yeah? Okay, good. It's back. All right, good. Sometimes you just got to hit refresh. Okay, let me share my screen again. So these are the quick recap of what you've learned thus far. So let me know in the chat if you want to take some of the stuff you just learned and actually implement it for yourself for your own idea to like make some money, some new money in 2019, to get some additional stability for yourself in 2019, to get those 170 customers to make your $100,000 in 2019. Let me know if you want to take it to the next level. I know a lot of you guys do. Okay, so I want to introduce you guys to this program that I put together. It's called Apps Without Code Bootcamp. And what it is an opportunity for us to work together for 2 months, to take your idea, to really work through it, to get all the kinks out of the idea, to build it, to get going immediately, and we can work together on this. Dolores says, I'm starting tonight after this webinar. I'm ready to go. So Apps Without Code Bootcamp is a way for us to work together and making that happen. So there's personalized coaching. I put together a bunch of video tutorials step by step for all the things you need to do depending on what type of app you're building. And also you're gonna get this community you need to start clarifying your app idea, to build it, and to make money from it, right? So let me ask you guys, you can let me know in the chat, but I would love to know, what if you could get my help and launch your app business in the next 60 days? Type I'm in into the chat if you'd be in for that. You could get my help and launch your app business in the next 60 days. Type I'm in into the chat if you'd be in for that. Or what if you could have weekly access to your own startup coach, so that when you're kind of veering this way and you're going too far to the left, your coach would be like, no, go right, go right, go right, and get you back on track. You don't even know you're going off the road and can get you back on the road, right? Or what if you could learn how to make your app a premium price point experience, and you could charge $50 a month or more for, so you would only need 170 signups to make $100,000 a year. I'm into the chat to be in for that. So Apps Without Code Bootcamp, this program I put together, is all about helping you finally build this app idea that you have been stalling on. Because some of you guys have had your app idea for months. Some of you guys have had your app idea for years. It's just been way too long. You can tell me in the chat if you've had your app idea for a long time. But it's about finally getting this app idea out of the door that you've been stalling on. And it's also Arthur saying, my hand is up, raising my hand, and Nani says, I need a coach. Yeah. It also is about getting a high quality app without spending a ton of time or money or waiting so doggone long that someone else takes the idea before you, and it's all your fault because you took so long to do it, right? So I want to let you know that I'm actually opening enrollment this week for my winter and spring class of Apps Without Code Bootcamp. So winter and spring, a little bit actually into summer classes. And so here's how the program works. This is kind of like the breakdown so you can see how the program works. Part 1 is the course. This is all the stuff I wish I knew when I was getting started. So there's step-by-step video lessons, there's templates, there's tutorials, and there's app guides for all the different things you need to do and create. So this is what the inside of the course looks like once you get access. And there are all these different modules and different kind of things you need to do. And when you click on each of them, there are broken down lessons and step-by-step of every step you need to take along the journey, right? So this is what the inside of the course looks like. And the course has a particular structure. So on week 1, we're going to focus on pricing your app. Like, how much can you charge? Is this a 99-cent app? Could it be $20 a month? Could it be $50 a month? Could you license it to businesses and do the white labeling thing and charge $5,000? Like, how are we going to price this? That's week 1. Week 2, we're going to focus on finding your perfect customers. For a lot of you guys, there are a ton of people who are going to be interested in what you're building, right? But there are only some people who are the right people to go after first because they're already ready for you. So we're going to find your perfect customers on week 2. Week 3, we're going to pre-sell your app. What I mean by that is we're going to get people to hand you money to be on the wait list or to get the first access to the app before you're even done building it. Why are we going to do that? Well, we're going to do that so that you know for sure that you're building the right things. If you already have people who are on board, who have signed up, who have pre-sold or pre-bought, you know that you're exactly building the right stuff. And it allows you to be perfectly on the right track as opposed to guessing what customers are going to pay for. Week 4, we're going to work on your website and your brand. And then we're going to spend weeks 5, 6, 7, and 8 actually building your app. So that's the structure of the program, right? So that's number 1, the course. Part 2 of the program, this is my second favorite part of the program, and this is the community. And so you're getting this wolf pack of other successful entrepreneurs to support you. Let me tell you why this is important, right? Many of you guys are around people who have 9-to-5 jobs, and all they understand, all they can see and get is the idea of having a 9-to-5 job. So they think you're kind of crazy for wanting to be an entrepreneur. Anyone know about this? Like, you're around people and they're like, I don't understand this whole entrepreneurship thing you want to do. I just can only think small-minded like a 9-to-5 job person can. Like, this is a challenge for a lot of you guys. And for a lot of you, it is the reason why you haven't been able to kind of get the stuff done that you want to get done. If you are around people where all they can understand is 9 to 5, it becomes tough for you. You need to be around entrepreneurs as well. People who are thinking in a different kind of way. So here's an example of a post in the community for Apps Without Code. Shara says, hey guys, I'm about 90% to a launchable MVP. How about you guys? I was thinking we could all test out each other's apps in a working session before we actually go public to our audiences. Then we can troubleshoot on that call real time. Maybe we could do it Sunday hackathon style. So you get this wolf pack of other entrepreneurs who, Arissa, who are not thinking small. You're saying, I know what it's like. I work at a large agency. Exactly, right? People who understand what entrepreneurship looks like in the first place, because you really could use that support community. For a lot of you guys, this has been a thing that's holding you back and you don't even know it because you're not around enough entrepreneurs. Okay, so that's part 2. And then part 3 is my hands down favorite part of this program. And that is that you get your own startup coach. It's your own startup coach. So again, when you're veering off a little bit, you don't even know you're going off course, you get someone to make sure you're on course. Because a lot of you guys have jobs, you have families, you have some sort of social life, you like to keep up with all of those things. And so a coach helps you stay on track so you're not wasting a bunch of time doing the windy road thing. You're just getting right to the money. So remember, I mentioned Carlos to you earlier. He built an app for gyms to book and have to allow their users and their customers to book basketball courts. His first customer was the YMCA. They signed on with him. He's charging them $300 a month just to start in one location for their app. And he did all of that in 4 weeks. He's only 4 weeks into boot camp, actually. He just started 4 weeks ago. This is Ashley. I want to show you another example. This is Ashley Williams. And Ashley built an app for schools to hire athletic trainers. So if you run a school and you have a football team or a basketball team or whatever it might be, you have to have an athletic trainer on staff in case something happens or someone needs it. So Ashley started with just an idea. She didn't have everything figured out. She didn't know exactly how she was going to charge, how exactly her customers were going to be, how exactly she was going to build the app. She didn't know any of those things. She had just an idea. Since doing boot camp, she now has 50 customers who have signed up for her app. She's done $3,000 in revenue, but she did all of this in 60 days. So this is what Ashley's app looks like. If you run a school, you can log in, you can create an event that you need like a game that you need someone to come to. So when the time is, how much they'll get paid, and her system will match you with an athletic trainer who can come to your game. It's called Safe Play. Safe Play. And so Ashley says, I personally cannot function successfully without structure, even if it means it will cost money. So from killing it in the gym with CrossFit to joining Apps Without Code Bootcamp, I personally do much better when I have a set plan to follow and an accountability group to check in with. I know I am the same way. If I don't have a set plan to follow and an accountability group to check in with, I've been doing all sorts of stuff that's off track, right? So for a lot of you guys, having a set plan to follow and an accountability group to check in with just gets you right to the money, right? Let me show you one last example. This is Brittany. Brittany built an app for pharmaceutical companies to report their drug side effects to the FDA. It's the Federal Drug Administration, right? So before doing boot camp, Brittany had spent $30,000 trying to hire people to build her app for her. And she still had no app and no customers. When I met her, she was super frustrated because she had poured $30,000 into this business already. After doing boot camp, she had a finished app, She had 2 large customers, but for her, these are big contracts. These are $10,000 contracts because she does the licensing and white labeling method, right? So part 1 is the course, step-by-step video lessons, tutorials, templates, app guides, all of that. Part 2 is the community, this wolf pack of other successful entrepreneurs. And part 3 is getting your own startup coach. That's the structure of the program. So there are a couple types of people who bootcamp works really well for. It works really well for antsy professionals who are tired of having their income limited by a 9-to-5 job. Like somebody else decided you make this amount, so that's just how much you make, right? They're tired of that. It works for existing entrepreneurs. Somebody said, I'm already a freelancer. I already am an entrepreneur. It works for existing entrepreneurs who want to add more tech savviness to their business. It works really well for busy parents who want to work part-time on a lucrative app business so they can spend the rest of their time with their family and not have to be working full-time. And it also works really well for ambitious people who, and this is for a lot of you guys, this is a lot of you. You need to stop being stingy about your idea. You don't want to tell anyone about it. You're not ready to launch it. You're just babying it. You need to let it out and bless the world with this great idea you've been stalling on for months, right? So there's a couple of reasons people usually don't get started. When I talk to folks and they're like, hey, Tara, I'm really excited about bootcamp. It sounds interesting, right? 3 reasons people get scared about starting is because they're scared. 1, it'll take too much time. They think it's going to take a long time. 2, they get scared because they think it's going to take too much money. Or 3, they get scared because they think it's going to be hard. Like usually one of these 3 things are why people usually freeze up on this. But the thing is that when you have a coach, it doesn't take too much time because you get directly to the money. You can get directly to it because you're not scrolling around doing a bunch of stuff that you don't even need to be doing. It also doesn't take too much money because you're not spending a bunch of money hiring people or doing all these different things. You're being most effective using a process because somebody has already tested all the tools for you. And it's not too hard because you get direct coaching, right? So you get After That Code Bootcamp, which has the 52 video lessons. You get 32 hours of live coaching with me. And then you also get access to the After That Code community. And just for context, often I do this kind of coaching. I fly out to San Francisco very frequently to do this kind of coaching for startups. When I do this, I charge them $10,000. I'm not going to charge you $10,000. But when I do this for existing startups, I charge them $10,000. But one of the things people usually say, and they kind of send me a message, or they're like, hey, Tara, I really am interested in bootcamp. This sounds really good. I want to do it. But I'm concerned because I don't have a bunch of money to spend on launching this app business. I just don't, right? Anyone in this boat? Anyone concerned about this? So if you find yourself in this boat, I want to do one thing to kind of make your life easier. Just one thing less you have to worry about. So when you invest in bootcamp today, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. So you don't even have to worry about it. So I recommend you use Wix to create your website. You don't have to use Wix to create your website. However, I recommend you use Wix to create your website. When you invest in bootcamp today, I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. So you don't have to worry about it, right? So with immediate access to Wix, you can have your website set up by tomorrow afternoon. And you're not Googling how to build a website. You're not begging your techie friends to help you. You're not posting desperately into Facebook groups trying to find someone to help you. You're not doing any of that. You're just getting up and running by tomorrow, right? So there's After That Code Bootcamp. And then I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months, right? Arissa says, why do you recommend Wix over WordPress? Because you get the website built in a fraction of the time. WordPress has way too many flips and tricks that you don't even need. And it makes it a little bit difficult to use. Yeah. So another thing that people often tell me is they're like, hey, Tara, I'm really excited about bootcamp. It sounds really cool, but I'm concerned because my app idea might be complicated. Like I need to do a bunch of fancy stuff and I'm worried about how complicated it needs to be. So if you find yourself in this boat, I want to do another thing to kind of make your life a little bit easier. So when you invest in bootcamp today, I'm also going to give you my advanced app guide. So the advanced app guide is a guide for doing all of the fancy stuff, building APIs, having sophisticated databases. Let's say you wanted to have music in your app and you needed to pull the music from iTunes into your app, stuff like that, right? So the advanced app guide teaches you how to do all the fancy stuff. For context, I got my first $300,000 investment with this guide. Josh, that I told you about with the music app, he made $30,000 in revenue with this guide. Patrick built the app for Coca-Cola when Coca-Cola was his first customer with this guide. So that guide is literally just money for you doing all the fancy stuff, right? So there's Apps Without Code Bootcamp. Then I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. Plus there's the advanced app guide for doing all the fancy stuff, right? So the final thing I often hear people say is they're like, hey, Tara, I'm really excited about bootcamp. I really want to do it. That's awesome. But I'm kind of concerned because I'm not a salesperson and I'm not a marketer. So I'm really excited about building the app. That part I can't wait for. But I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to getting people to sign up for the app, getting new customers, all of that. I'm kind of stressed about that part, right? Anyone worried about the sales and marketing they have to do for their app idea? Nadia says this. Yeah. So one last thing I want to do to kind of like make your life easier is when you invest in bootcamp today, I'm going to give you my 7-day email list builder. 7-day email list builder. So the 7-day email list builder gives you all of my email marketing templates to find new customers. So how do you find people to email? What do you say in the subject line? What do you say in the email? What do you say when they respond? All of those things are bullet pointed for you in the 7-day email list builder, or templates. So again, you're not Googling around, you're not begging your marketing friends, you're not spending a bunch of time on Facebook ads that you should not be doing yet, all of those things. So there's Apps Without Code Bootcamp. I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. There's the advanced app guide for doing all the fancy stuff, the 7-day emails builder for doing all of the marketing stuff. So question for you. If Apps Without Code Bootcamp helped you create an app business, not just an app, but an app business, where you could charge $50 a month, so you only would need 170 customers to make $100,000 this year, would it be worth it? Let me know in the chat. Or if Apps Without Code Bootcamp helped you build an audience and a wait list of customers waiting down the road for this app, would it be worth it? Or if Apps Without Code Bootcamp gave you weekly access to your own startup coach to keep you on track, would it be worth it? Or if it helped you not waste $10,000, $20,000 on developers or marketers, would it be worth it? Yes. You have a fully up and running business. It was profitable. And you can make a decision about what you wanted to do with your life, with your continuing your job or not, right? You'd be able to make decisions. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm opening enrollment for my winter and spring classes of Apps Without Code Bootcamp, and I would love to work with you. There are a couple people asking in the chat, well, wait a minute, how much does bootcamp cost? I want to do it. I'm interested. How much does it cost? So for context, if you hire someone to build your app for you, it's going to cost you at least $20,000. For them to do a quality job, at least $20,000 enough. For context as well, when I go out to Silicon Valley and I train companies, do the same exact training, I charge them $10,000. But I'm really proud of this program that I've put together, this opportunity for you. And so a couple people are asking, how much does bootcamp cost? Your price for bootcamp is $1,900. Not $20,000 to hire someone. It's not $10,000 like normally to hire me. It's $1,900. Or you can split that up if it's easier for you into 6 payments of $380 a month. So whichever one works best for you, you can pay up front or you can split it up. So what I'm going to do right now, because I know people have questions about their business, about bootcamp, about all these things. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put the link into the chat for you, because I know a lot of people are looking to sign up. I put the link in there in the chat. And a couple things that I just want to show you, and then I'm going to answer questions and just jump into all of the folks' questions. Lindsay says that's not bad at all. No, like I work really hard to make this program accessible to folks. I just want to see folks win, right? And there's so much information about apps, about building companies. It's total crap or it's outdated. Like that was the advice from 2008, but the game has changed. The 99-cent app game, it has changed, right? So, so you can go and you can do enroll. To enroll, you go to join.appswithoutcode.com. So a couple people asked, what if we sign up later? What if we don't start tonight? Like, how does that work? So let me answer those questions really quickly. So, and just to recap, if people, so you're clear, wait, what am I going to do in boot camp? Wait, let me understand. So 2 promises of boot camp. 1, you're going to build the first version of your app. Duh. Right? And 2, you're going to learn a clear process for getting your first 100 customers. That's what we're going to be doing in bootcamp. That's the focus, right? So you know when they say the early bird gets the worm? You've heard this before. So I have 2 fast action bonuses for you. They expire in, this should say it by midnight. It's not 2 hours. By midnight Pacific time. Midnight Pacific time is when they expire. So some people are asking, do I have to sign up today? No, you don't have to sign up today. I'll tell you when the deadline is in one moment. But if you want to sign up today, you're going to get these 2 fast action bonuses. So, of course, I mentioned the price is $1,900, or you can split it up into monthly payments. But when you pay in full today, but before midnight Pacific time, there's an additional 10% discount. So the price goes from $1,900 to I think like $1,710, right? Now, unfortunately, the discount only applies when you pay in full. It doesn't apply to the payment plans, but you get a 10% discount on top of that when you enroll this evening. So there's Ask.Code Bootcamp. I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. There's the advanced app guide for doing all the fancy stuff, the 7-day emails builder for doing all the marketing stuff, and then a 10% discount on top of that when you pay in full this evening. Cool. And also just want you to know I have a refund guarantee. So if you do the work and you're not happy with the course after 7 days, I'm happy to give you your money back. Now, Kristen says, I need to work on my app idea first. Thanks for all the info and inspiration. Oh, good. So let me tell you really quickly, Kristen, as well, what happens the first 2 days of boot camp. The first 2 days of boot camp, we have a full weekend together where we work on your idea first. We get really clear on your idea and your plan first. So you don't have to have that all figured out. The first 2 days are dedicated exclusively to figuring out exactly what your plan is going to be. And then we move on and hit the ground running with all that stuff. So you're going to have 16 hours of coaching with me in the first week of boot camp. It won't be that much and that intensive for the rest of the weeks. But the first week, we're going to do 16 hours together. So after that first week, you'll have really clear knowledge. So I mentioned there's 2 fast action bonuses. So the first one is a 10% discount. The second one, when you pay in full, you're also going to get a 2-hour live session with me. 2-hour live session with me. And during this 2-hour live session, we are going to set up your app business plan. So what we're going to do during the session is implement the exact system that I personally use to launch apps, to get 200 plus people on the wait list and make about 10K usually in the first month as a result. So we're going to research your perfect customer profiles. We're going to determine how much you should charge them. And we're also going to explore ways you can charge $50 a month or more with your app. So that's what we're going to do in our 2-hour live session together. So there's Ask.Code Bootcamp. I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. There's the advanced app guide for doing the fancy stuff, the 7-day emails builder for doing all the marketing stuff, plus a 10% discount, and the 2-hour live session with me on top of that when you pay in full. So the link, somebody was asking, Daniel said, can I get the site to sign up again later again? Yes. So you can sign up at join.appswithoutcode.com. Let me put it into the chat for you. And if you want to get those 2 fast action bonuses that expire this evening, you want to type in the code FAST10 to get those 2 bonuses. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to answer questions. Whether they're about bootcamp or just your app idea, I want to answer questions for folks. So, question time. Clinton says, when does the class start from scheduling? Okay, great. So here's what will happen. And actually, let me show you. So when you go to the link I gave you, join.appswithoutcode.com, this is what it looks like. And you can scroll down. And as soon as you enroll, the next page you will see will allow you to choose your class dates. So there'll be a bunch of different options for when you can start, Clinton, and you can choose when you want to start that's right for you, right? So you get to choose. Okay, both Woody and Ruslan had similar questions, which is, should we hire an attorney first to trademark our idea? How do we protect our idea? So yes, we're going to talk about lawyers and all those things inside of bootcamp. And actually, there are a lot of lawyers that do work for free for a certain number of hours for startups. So I'm going to show you how to get free legal work done for you. However, you do not need to do this first. In fact, I recommend you make your first few $100s before you start trademarking or doing protection to your idea. Here's why. When you trademark or do protection, legal protection for your idea, you have to describe exactly precisely how the app works. However, in the first few weeks, you're making tweaks and changes and adjustments, getting feedback, all of that. So it really sucks to pay a lot of legal fees up front, make changes, and then have to pay the legal fees again. You don't want to do that. So I recommend you wait a little bit before you do that. Now, also, Woody, I want to address your question about how do we protect the idea. Here's how I also want you to think about this. So yes, we're going to talk about lawyers, but also I want you to think about it this way. There are at least, right now, at least 50 other people who have your same exact app idea. The same idea. Your ideas are not the valuable part. The ideas are dime a dozen. They just are, right? So the difference is in execution. Those other 50 people with the same idea, they're sitting on the couch right now watching TV, and you were in a workshop figuring out how to get to the next step with this idea. That's the difference. And so the difference is in execution. For some reason in tech, we think that there can only be one of something. So we get really weird about protecting our ideas. But imagine that you wanted to open a hair salon, but you're like, oh, I can't open a hair salon because there's already a hair salon in Atlanta. Like no other industry thinks this way. Or imagine Pepsi being like, we can't launch because Coca-Cola already exists. There's an Uber and a Lyft. There's totally room for that. So I would be less concerned about protecting your idea. We are going to talk about that once we start boot camp and you start generating some revenue. But early on, it's less of a concern than you think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Lindsay says it's about who offers the best app or brand. It really is. It really is. And there's a bunch of ways for you to go niche, and we're going to be talking about this in boot camp, for you to go after a specific target customer so that your client you don't have competition. And what he says, are you open to an NDA? So I actually do not sign NDAs. It's for the same reason. If you go talk to most investors, most startup coaches, they don't sign NDAs. The idea is dime a dozen. A lot of people have your same exact idea. Your thing that differentiates you is your ability to execute. And so I'm just going to be helping you execute, but I don't do NDAs. Okay, so other questions. Look, Klein says, I have begun building an app through IBM Cloud, GitHub, create your own, but I don't know where to go from there. Yeah, I actually don't recommend that you use those tools. They're a little bit more time intensive than you want them to be. And there are a bunch of the other tools that I mentioned earlier. They get you up and running a lot faster. So I actually recommend those tools. I do not recommend IBM or IBM's tool for building code, or also GitHub as well. And so, Laquan, I think I would love to work with you. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you're working on? You can tell me in the chat. I would love to work with you or kind of talk with you about it as well. Okay. Dolores says, when I create my app, can I send you the proposal? What do you mean the proposal? Can you tell me what you mean by that? Okay. Other questions. Ursa says, what if you want to do courses? Shouldn't that come before the app? I think you mean like you want to have an education app. I think that's what you mean. So here's the thing. What is an app? An app is anywhere where someone needs to log in with username and password. So if you have a course, they need to log into your course app with a username and password. So you need to create an app for that, right? Okay, other questions. Fernell had a question, how much time do we have to sign up? So just to clarify, the deadline to sign up is on Sunday. Enrollment closes on Sunday. However, if you want the 2 fast action bonuses, the 10% discount and the live session with me, you want to enroll now. Enroll before midnight Pacific time this evening. And I actually see right now, hold on one second, let me refresh my screen, both Clarissa and Elliot have both signed up. So Carissa and Elliot, really excited to work with both of you guys. Let me know in the chat and tell me why you decided to sign up. But I'm really excited to work with you. Cool. Oh, and Tessa too. Tessa, excited to work with you as well. Let me know in the chat why you decided to sign up. Okay. Cool. Laura says, can I send you the sample or business plan? Oh yeah, absolutely. Sure. You can send it to me. Just hit reply to my last email, and I'm happy to talk with you about it. Cool. Jamel says, if you're not ready by Sunday, then what? So enrollment will close on Sunday. If you want to, if you're not ready to start on Sunday, that's okay though, because you can enroll by Sunday, but then the second thing you'll see after you enroll is the calendar. So you can set your start date to be in April, or you can set your start date to be whenever you need it to be. So you don't have to begin now, but you just need to reserve your seat now, because I already have classes that are filling up. Like for example, the March class is already almost full. I only have a couple more seats in my March class. Okay, other questions? Tia says, what type of app is Yelp? What category would it fall under where business can be listed or reviewed? Yeah, it's like a directory app. It's a directory app, right? There's a directory of businesses. People can interact with the directory, etc. Yeah, cool. Okay, what other questions do folks have? What other questions? You know, it's funny. One of my friends mentioned this thing to me yesterday, and she was talking about eagles and chickens. Eagles and chickens. So what she was talking about was, she was saying, like, and I was kind of dragging my feet on planning a trip. I've been meaning to go to Spain for a whole month. And she was like, Tara, I think you're being a chicken about this. And she explained to me what she meant. And she was like, you know, sometimes people are eagles. They're eagles, but they don't know it. And so they hang out with all chickens. They wear costumes like chickens. Like, they think that they're a chicken. They really, truly believe that they're a chicken. And they've been playing small their whole life, thinking that they're a chicken, but really they're this eagle. They can fly long distances. They're majestic. They're amazing. And my friend told me this, and she was like, I think you're being a chicken about this. I need you to realize that you're an eagle. And so I'd like to say the same thing to you. Where are the places in your life where you were an eagle, but you were acting like a chicken? Okay? Think about that. Okay, other questions. Daniel says, do the payments come out right away? So if you pay in full, the payment comes out right away. If you do the payment plan, the first payment comes out right away, and then you pay monthly after that. Does that answer your question, Daniel? Cool. Arthur says, what if your white label agreement has a fourth and fifth action that allows for outsourcing? What do you mean by that allows for outsourcing? Explain what you mean by that, Arthur. You mean outsourcing so somebody else develops the app? Is that what you mean? Or that you mean your client can outsource it? Which do you mean? I just want to be clear. Okay, Laquan says, well, my app is called Even Swap. The same even swap, no swindle. Okay, you can basically trade things. I am the middle link to ensure both parties and trade goods. Got it. Nike for flat screens, art for clothing, etc. Yeah, absolutely. Got it. Okay, yes, you can absolutely build that. I would call that a marketplace app. You're kind of creating a marketplace for people to buy and sell. It's exactly one of the types of apps we focus on in Bootcamp. Cool. Okay. Natanya says, how much will the course cost in Canadian currency? Ooh, that's a good question. 1 second. Let me see if I can do a translation here. Let's see here. Let me come back to you, and I'm going to try to calculate that for you and get it to you. Omar says, what about a companionship app? Yeah, absolutely. Tell me a little bit more about what you need to do. You need to kind of like match people with companions. Is that what you mean? Okay. And then on the Canadian question, so the course is $1,900. That's without the discount. So I'm not including the discount. So it ends up being $2,500, about $2,500 in Canadian dollars. But with the discount, it ends up being like $2,200 in Canadian dollars. That gives you your translation. Okay. Yeah, Daniel, you can start your start date. You can enroll now, but put a start date later. Absolutely. Okay. Do you great? Dolores has a great question. Do you have to be a people person or great presenter to build clients? Absolutely not. You don't. I will be honest with you, I'm not a people person. I like to present, so maybe that's a different example. But no, I work with folks who have all different types of personalities. A lot of people they're working with clients all via email, and that's just fine. Right? Remember I said you're going to get my 7-day email list builder. So you can do everything via email if you don't want to be out and about talking to a bunch of clients. Right? Yeah, Natalia, does that work for you? Okay, cool. And then also I see Calvin and Shianti just signed up. Really excited to work with both of you. So let me know, Calvin and Shianti, why you decided to sign up. Oh, Daniel says, I mean, do the payments come out before the start date? No. So if let's say that you sign up now and you sign up for the class that starts in a couple weeks. So you start in a couple weeks, let's say. You make your first payment now. You start class in a couple weeks. And as you're in the class, you're making monthly payments. Does that help? Okay. Okay, Clinton says, I'm interested in creating something for schools. Will the tools you suggested be helpful? Absolutely, Clinton. Do you remember me sharing about, let me go back here and see if I can find it. So Josh is one of the entrepreneurs. I'm flashing a bunch of slides to you. The entrepreneurs, let me actually unshare really quickly. Josh is one of the entrepreneurs that I've worked with, and I actually work with a lot of folks in the education space, meaning that they want to build an education app or they want their app to be for educators. So I actually have a lot of experience with this, or for schools. So yes, you definitely can use these tools. You can license your app or let the school use it, and usually we get pretty big contracts from schools accordingly. A lot of people are not spending the time to build good software tools for schools. So schools have all of these big challenges that are not getting solved, and you can swoop in and solve those for them. And so yes, both, I think Clinton had that question, and also Naja, am I saying your name right? Had that same question, Naja or Naja? Yeah, absolutely. You can use these tools to build apps for schools. Okay, other questions. Jamal says, how many $50 a month paying customers are guaranteed after the 60-day bootcamp? So I can't guarantee a certain number of $50 a month paying customers. Here's why. Let's say you join bootcamp and you decide not to come to any class and not to do any work. I can't magically make a business appear, right? Like, this is not a get rich quick scheme. There's no like magical dust or any of those things. So you still have to do the work, right? However, I can tell you that a lot of our entrepreneurs are generating more than $50 a month. They're doing, I showed you Josh, who did $30,000 in revenue in his first few months. I showed you, and actually he's actually done a lot more because he's more than a few months in. So Josh now, first 6 months, he made $30,000. But now he's a couple of years in, actually, and he's done $300,000 in revenue with his business in like 2 years. I showed you Patrick, who is doing these $10,000 at a time contracts. I showed you Sharice, who got all of this investment dollars from these TV shows that she was doing from investors. So it looks really different for everyone, but you also have to do the work. Cool. Awesome. Cool. Okay, great. Clinton says, great, time to talk to the wife. Yeah, awesome. And if you want to jump in immediately, you can get that 10% discount and also the live session with me. The question is, how much is it again to begin the course? Okay, you have 2 options. And let me actually show you on my screen. You have 2 options. So let me back up. The first option is if you pay in full, the price is $1,900. Or you can split it up into 6 payments of $380 a month if that is easier for you. So you can choose which one works better for you. However, when you pay in full, you get a 10% discount and the 2-hour live session with me. So those are your options. Cool. Okay. Fernell says, I'm interested in building an app to track deliveries for medical pharmaceuticals. Amazing. I have not worked with someone who's doing exactly what you're doing. However, I have worked with, oh goodness, let me find this slide for you. Brittany. I'm scrolling around. Hold on, I'm gonna find it. I wanted to show you Brittany again for now, because I think Brittany would be great for you to connect with in the community, but also for you to see her example. So Brittany built an app for pharmaceutical companies to report their drug side effects to the FDA. So she had, before she was working with me, she had spent $30,000 trying to get an app built for her and still didn't have any app and any customers. And after working with me, she's doing these $10,000 contracts with customers. And also, if you want to hear more about Brittany or other folks who have done bootcamp, if you scroll to the bottom of the page that I gave you, I'll put it into the chat again. Brittany shared her story right here about her app, and she shows it to you and all those things. Cool. Okay. Other questions, and I'll put this link in here again for you. It's join.appswithoutcode.com to get enrolled. Okay. Cool. All right, other questions. What did I miss? All right. Oh, Arissa had a great question. She says, what if my app idea isn't right and I can't think of another one that I'm passionate about? So remember how I was saying that we're going to spend the first 2 days together refining the idea, getting clear on the idea? So Arissa, we're going to tackle that in our first 2 days together. If you have an initial idea, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple different ways you can kind of pivot the idea to get it to be the right fit. Something that people are willing to pay for and that you can easily build and get up and running and start generating revenue with. So Arissa, if you want to tell me in the chat a little bit about what you're thinking of, I can actually start talking to you about it live now and start helping. I want to pause for a moment and just point out something that like became really clear to me a couple months ago. And this thing that became really clear to me was that top performers get coaches, right? So if you think about top actors, they all have acting coaches. Athletes, they have coaches. Olympians, they have coaches. Executives, they have coaches. Top performers get coaches. And so the question for you is, what are you going to do to get the coaching that you need to get to the next level? What are you going to do about that? How are you going to get a coach? There's just one way for you to do that. Okay, other questions. Yeah, okay. So Nadia says, so will it help with customer retention as well? Yeah, we're going to be talking about getting customers, but also keeping customers as well. And you can also be building apps that help other people get customers and keep customers as well. Does that make sense? Oh, okay. Omar, you were talking about the companion app. So an app for men and women who need a companion ASAP. Yes, absolutely. So we call that a matching app or a recommendation app. You're kind of recommending people to each other. So absolutely, Omar, we can do that. Absolutely. Okay, Arthur, you were clarifying your question. My question after the white labeling agreement is if the app has a fourth or fifth action that offers outsourcing like Uber or Lyft. Oh, got it. Yes, absolutely, you can do that. So you can have part of your app be that there's this workforce of people that do this work. Absolutely. Yes. You can use the outsourcing of Uber or Lyft or tools like kind of like Uber or Lyft. Yeah. Okay. Jamal says, did you say we can communicate with you by responding to your last email? Yes. So if you want to send me an email, the easiest way to do that is just to hit reply on the last email that I sent you. And I want actually everyone to do this. Everyone who's here, please send me an email. Tell me what you thought about the workshop or ask a question. There's no such thing as a silly question or a dumb question. So if you, after this workshop, if you still have questions, please shoot me an email, either myself or my colleague Taylor. She works on my team. I actually think she's here this evening. Or Taylor will be able to answer your question immediately. Okay. Oh yeah, Dolores says, I'm making an app business. So businesses can use regular people to advertise their business. Yeah, I will have it up in 60 days. Oh, awesome. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Okay, Arissa, you were saying a little bit more about what you were working on. So the ideas for creating plant-based courses for people to transition, consisting of info to eat, restaurants, recipe books, etc. Yeah, absolutely. And you're not sure if it's best for a course, webinar, website strategy, etc. So here's the thing, Arissa. They're all kind of the same thing. Let's say you built a course, for example. You would have a course, but people have to log in somewhere to see your course. Where are they going to get the information? So you have to have an app for them to log in with their email and password, sign up for the course, and enter the inside of it. And you need to have a website to promote it. So you need to have all of those things. And we won't do all of them all at once, but you need to get all of those things in place to build it. Cool. Okay, any other questions? I'm going to pause for a second and tackle any other questions that folks have. As you're thinking, and actually, hold on a second. I think there are a couple other folks who have signed up. Natasha, super excited to work with you, Natasha. Let me know in the chat why you decided to sign up. Okay, so disposable income is one of these things. I've actually been talking to a lot of people who make a lot of money or who have a lot of money. And I've been learning a bunch about how they think about disposable income. So like, as you already know, disposable income is the money that you have left over after you pay your bills, right? Your disposable income. Maybe it's not a lot left over, but after you pay your rent and all your bills, you have a little bit of money left over, right? And the thing is that disposable income replenishes. So like if you get paid every other week, you get more disposable income every other week. And so you want to use that replenishing money to invest in yourself, in something that's going to give you an ROI, a return on your investment. Spending it on Starbucks is not going to give you a return on your investment. Spending it on dinner is not going to give you a return on your investment, or on Ubers is not going to give you a return on your investment. So investing in yourself, getting yourself to the next level, to next income, that is a good use of your disposable income, investing it into yourself. Something you're getting an ROI from, a return on investment. Okay, any last questions before we wrap up? So Laquan was asking if I'm short on funds. So if you want to do, you can do the payment plan, which only requires you to do $380 up front, and then you can do that payment plan after that monthly. And you have until Sunday to make a decision, so if you need to do that. However, enrollment is open for winter and spring now, so we're probably not going to open up enrollment again until way later this year, like at the end of this year. Cool. Any other questions before we wrap up? Lindsay said this is an awesome. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Lindsay. Okay, so we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you don't have any additional questions, if you think of something else that pops up, please shoot me an email. You can email me by just replying to my last email. And if you don't have a question, still reply to my last email. Let me know what you thought. Again, the deadline to sign up is on Sunday. Sunday is your deadline to sign up. However, if you want those 2 fast action bonuses, you can just type in fast 10 into the chat. Okay, Woody had a question. I thought your workshop was very informative. You're a superstar. I'm not sure why you wouldn't sign an NDA, though. This tool will probably be a good start for me. I truly believe the app idea is top 5 in all social apps. So to be clear, and I don't know if you know this about the tech space, almost no one signs NDAs. It's very rare to get someone to sign an NDA. I've gone through the process of having lots of investors. None of them sign NDAs. It's just a little bit of like extra steps and extra legal steps. You and I both have to get lawyers to draft up the documents. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to do at the beginning of starting a company. That being said, I'm here to support you, right? Like I'm here to support you. And so I'm going to be helping you do your marketing, helping you build your app, all of these things as your coach. And so there's not really a big need for an NDA. There's not anything to share. In fact, as soon as we start working together, we're going to start telling people about the idea. Because that's how you make money with a business. You tell people about it. If no one knows about it, then we have trouble. So you want to be in a mindset of telling people about your idea. Daniel says Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. I love it. Okay, cool. Aquan says thank you and please keep doing what you do. Oh, thank you. Awesome. Okay, so I'm super excited to work with a lot of you guys. I know a lot of you just signed up. So really excited to have you in boot camp. A lot of you guys are going to be kind of getting stuff together and signing up before this midnight deadline. And then some of you guys will be signing up before Sunday. Either way, thank you so much for coming. I'm super excited to work with you all and get these ideas out of the door and built. Cool. And if you have additional questions, please let me know. Cool. Okay. Cool. Nisha had a question. If we do the payment plan, can we pay later? Yeah, so if you do the payment, I guess I'm not really sure I understand your question. But if you do the payment plan, you get the entire bootcamp experience. You just don't get the 10% discount. It's more expensive. And you don't get the 2-hour live session with me, if that makes sense. So you kind of have to choose which one you want to do. All right. Cool. I love it. He says, I love how you make it so plain and easy. Yeah, it actually is not that difficult. It's not that difficult if you have a set plan to follow. Arissa says Fast 10 expires at midnight Pacific, right? Yes, absolutely. So take a look at this. There's a countdown timer just so that you don't get confused by time zones. So you've got 5 hours to get there, to get signed up, about a little more than 5 hours. And use the code FAST10. Make sure it's all in caps. So let me show you, because some people have trouble with this. It has to be all caps. So FAST10. If you do this, give it a second, and it'll give you your discount right there. Cool? Okay. And then Jamal had a question. Again, when do classes start? So it is up to you when you want your classes to start. So as soon as you do this and as soon as you sign up, the next page you'll get to will ask you to create an account and to pick your start date. So it'll show you a bunch of different start dates, Jamal, and you can choose which one you want. So it's up to you when you start. There's a calendar that you can choose from. Does that make sense? Okay. Nisha's, I meant, is there another way we could get the 2-hour live session with you? No, unfortunately, the 2-hour live session is only available for folks who pay in full. Cool. Okay. Other questions? Right as we I'm getting ready to wrap up. If people have more questions, I want to make sure everybody gets their questions answered. Okay. If you think of more questions, please just email me. And regardless, email me and tell me what you thought. All right. Thank you so much for coming. I'm really excited to see you guys get these ideas going. Let's get this money in the door for 2019 and actually get you stuff built and going. And I would love to be your coach to do that. All right. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.